The character of Art the Clown was first introduced to us in 2013's All Hallows Eve, which was a low-budget horror anthology movie that garnered a cult following simply for that character, Art the Clown. In 2016, David Howard Thornton would take over the role in the film Terrifier, and here we are, over a decade later since the character was first introduced, asking the question, is Art the Clown already an icon? Hey, what's up everybody? Nick here, and today I wanted to talk to you guys about a topic that has been going around over the last week, and for good reason. And that is asking the question, is Art the Clown iconic? Is Terrifier already iconic? Now, before some of you sharpen your pitchforks and come out and scream and yell about how, oh my gosh, there's only been 3 movies, how could you ever say this is an icon already? Hear me out here. I did an episode of the You Need a Horror podcast earlier this week with my buddy Christian, and we talked about this very subject. And he had a good point. In his mind, an icon is a character or a film series that took over a period of time. Now, you could look back to the 80s, and you could say Freddy and Jason ruled the 80s, and you'd be correct. A lot of people look at Michael Myers and Halloween, and they say, well, yeah, he's an icon too. And he is, but he didn't really rule the better part of a decade until the Blumhouse trilogy. There was a big movie here and there, like the original Halloween or Halloween 2, or then his return in H2O or Halloween 4, but he didn't consistently rule the better part of a decade until Blumhouse. All of those characters have earned their right as being iconic. For my generation, the ones that I think of that come to mind are Ghostface in the Scream franchise and Jigsaw and the Saw franchise. I think those are the only 2 that have really become iconic since I've been born. And that goes to show you, it's very hard to do that because, again, you have to rule a period of time. So how can we say with 3 movies now of Terrifier that Art the Clown is already an icon? Well, I'll break that down a little bit because I do believe that Art the Clown is already a horror icon, and I believe the Terrifier franchise is iconic, or at the very least is on its way to becoming iconic. So let's break this down. 2016, Terrifier comes out. It goes straight to streaming. And it's a movie that got a lot of people talking. I remember people talking online about this movie. Oh, you gotta see it. It's so gross. This character, he's incredible. He's insane. I actually remember my ex-wife, anytime it would show up on Netflix's home screen, she'd have to turn away because she hates clowns. So I just didn't watch it for years because I guess I wasn't allowed to. But I remembered so many people talking about it. And then when Terrifier 2 got announced, and a bunch of people here on YouTube were like, oh, Nick, you finally got to check it out. I checked it out before Terrifier 2 came out. Look, Terrifier was, for good reason, talked about. The movie doesn't have a lot of plot. Its whole purpose is to just be, like, gross and at the same time kind of fun and be like this throwback grindhouse filmmaking. And it does that insanely well. You're not there to get to know any of the characters aside from Art the Clown. He's going to be the one you root for. You're going to love to see the messed up stuff he does. And there's going to be a couple scenes in that movie that are going to live with you forever. Terrifier achieved that. And that cult following that it gained gave us Terrifier 2. With a budget about 7 times the first movie, but still relatively small at $250,000, Terrifier 2 was going to get a limited run in theaters. And a lot of people were talking about it. Leading up to this movie, the marketing was, oh, it's so gross, it's making people pass out, people are walking out, they're puking. A lot of people had issues with that, and they said it was just PR and blah, 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 blah. But I was there. I was there day 1 for Terrifier 2. And I remembered being in the theater in that moment. A lot of people that looked like me, you know, we're wearing horror t-shirts, we got long hair. This is our thing. And I remember watching that movie play out on screen and thinking to myself so many times throughout its almost 2 hour and 20 minute runtime, how on God's green earth is this a movie that's in movie theaters right now? Genuinely. How is this in movie theaters? How am I sitting here watching this kind of movie in a movie theater? Terrifier 2's success was honestly insane. Nobody expected it to do what it did. On a limited run, it made over $15 million worldwide, which was huge for its budget. Also taken into consideration, it was only supposed to be a 3-day Fathom event that got extended multiple times because people wanted to see this movie. It was making money and people were talking about it. Furthermore, this was an unrated movie that was playing in theaters across the United States. That is just not something you see. The MPAA has their rules, and if you're unrated, you're not getting a wide release. Terrifier 2 didn't get a wide release, but it got a wide enough release for enough people to see it for it to keep coming back and really generating conversation online. And Terrifier 2 did the right thing in introducing a final girl that we could all get to know and really enjoy. We had characters this time around that we could invest in, we had a story, and we had an ante that was upped like I couldn't have even imagined going into the movie. If you thought the first one was going to break new ground, this one took a flamethrower to that. I remember the reaction in the theater audience of just people being blown away by what we were seeing. At this point, Art was full-blown phenomenon. Everybody was talking about him, and you could see this was really about to be something. That leads us to Terrifier 3 that just came out a week ago, and it is already on pace to become the highest grossing unrated film ever of all time, literally breaking records. Now you might go, well, that record's not that impressive. How many unrated films get released in the theaters, let alone do even modest business? Sure, fair, but let's not diminish what Terrifier 3 is doing right now. It opened over $18 million here in the United States, almost $19 million. That's insane for an unrated movie. Insane. Furthermore, it has maintained its top spot at the box office, averaging over $2 million per day so far this week. Terrifier 3 is expected to finish anywhere between $50 and $70 million domestically. Now, I don't know if we have any international numbers for the movie yet, but I would assume it's probably going to end around 10 to 20 million internationally. Terrifier 3 has an outside chance of getting close to $100 million worldwide when it's all said and done on a $2 million budget. Let me remind you guys how insane that is. If it reaches those heights, we're talking 40 to 50 times its budget. Now, what does that mean? Let's look at it, the large picture here, in totality. Well, we had the Halloween movies making over $100 million, and Friday and Nightmare. Art the Clown is literally about to be there, or be damn close to that, with his third movie, unrated, in 2,000 theaters instead of 4,000 theaters. I could continue to go on and on. Let's not move the goalposts here. What Terrifier and Art the Clown are doing is nothing short of insanely impressive. It's mind-blowing. Terrifier is going to put up franchise, known IP level numbers on its third film, its first film that's really getting a semi-decent wide release. It's unrated. It had almost no marketing. You didn't see TV spots. The only thing you saw for Terrifier 3 is if you're on social media, you saw, again, the PR stuff that they were doing. You saw a picture here and there. That's how you knew about Terrifier 3. It is completely broken into the mainstream. When I went to see it opening night, my theater was sold out. The shows after my showing were sold out. There was people everywhere for this movie. So the Terrifier franchise is already a massive success. Like, this is a little engine that could story. It is a story about a creator, Damien Leone, having a truly unique take on an interesting subgenre, really just throwing a bunch of shit at the wall, seeing what sticks, and people just ate it up. And then he did what so many filmmakers don't do. He doubled and tripled down on what people liked. He didn't go, okay, now I've made some money, now we're kind of in the mainstream, let me kind of reel it back a little bit and make it more palatable for audiences. No, as these films are going on, he's just adding layer upon layer upon layer of giving you the exact same thing you expect and you wanted from the very first movie. This, in and of itself, is an insane accomplishment. The fact that this franchise is doing what it's doing, what this character has done on social media to just normie horror fans, this is insanely impressive. So then when it comes to the question of being an icon or not, I think Christian's criteria is actually incredibly fair. Did you rule a period of time? Guys, I don't know about you, but I don't know who's challenging Art the Clown right now. When it comes to social media impressions, when it comes to comparison to its budget, comparatively, the money it's bringing in, the way people are talking about it, the way it's starting to take over like Spirit Halloween, the memes. What else is doing that? I look no further than Smile 2, a movie that's about to come out. The first movie had really good legs and it made a good amount of money for Paramount, but I'm not seeing the same hype behind this second movie. It's getting good reviews, don't get me wrong, but it just doesn't feel like it's breaking through. like Terrifier did. I can confidently say that Terrifier 3 is going to have insanely good legs, and it's already shown that, because the word of mouth on this movie is genuinely phenomenal. Every week, this movie is going to continue to pull in money all throughout October and maybe even into November because it's a Christmas movie. So keep it in theaters, guys. Cineverse, I'm looking at you. But I think it is inarguable that Art the Clown right now is going to be the character that people remember from the 2020s. Even if Damien Leone only makes one more, say it's a year and a half, 2 years from now, that movie's going to make close to 100 million probably, just like this one, if not more so by then. And you're looking at a franchise that started as nothing, a character that started as a bit player in a low-budget anthology movie that went straight to streaming, now being at the top of the box office, being all over Spirit Halloween, being all over the internet. Everybody is becoming familiar with Art the Clown. Guys, I know we all have our own criteria in our head of what we consider to be an icon and what we consider to be iconic, but I think there are a few things in life that are inarguable. And whether Terrifier or Art the Clown is for you or isn't for you isn't really the point. Is Art the Clown a character that has broken through the zeitgeist and is just starting to take over? Is this a character that people are going to look back on this decade in time and remember when it comes to the horror genre? Yes, without a doubt, unquestionably. Damien Leone, even if he only does one more of these movies, it's not going to be the end of Terrifier because more people are going to want to tell more stories in this franchise. I believe that you and I are watching take place right now, the birth of an entirely new horror franchise, something that you just don't see much anymore. Saw was the last franchise that really did that and kept coming back and had longevity. You just don't see it much anymore. So in my opinion, I think it's inarguable. Yes, Art the Clown is an icon, and Terrifier is iconic. And even if you're not willing to get there right now, I think it's inarguable that 5 years from now, when there's 1, 2, 3 more Terrifier movies, you won't be able to say it's not. But I want to hear down below in the comment section what you guys think. Is Art the Clown an icon? Is Terrifier iconic, or is it well on its way to being there? Please discuss it in the comment section and anything else you have to say about Art and Terrifier. I want to thank you guys so much for watching this video. Leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. This is Nick at the Lost River Drive-In, and I'm pulling out.